Yeah.
Energy.
Yeah. I'm generally not a very loud person, so I'm going to adjust that. All right.
Good to go.
Good to go?
Yeah.
Right. Hi, welcome everybody. This is the first episode of the Phoenix Files, the newly established Phoenix News podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
I'm also your host, Chelsea.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking about the motivation to make this podcast, which is to connect with the campus community, to reach a broader audience, and incorporate new media into the vision and the mission of the newspaper. And just overall, just sticking with the general norms of media and moving forward with media. That seems really important to me, which is why I've decided to join the team. We'll have more words about that later.
Yeah, I think it's really important that we're starting a podcast like this. I'm a political science major, so with that sort of a background, I really value being able to have these sort of open, informed conversations. Being able to do that through this podcast forum, I think, is going to be really exciting. And we are hopefully going to be doing that through our 3 segments, if you wanted to touch a little bit on those.
Yeah, we'll be dividing the podcast episodes into 3 main segments, which is Campus Chronicles. We also have Culture Shock, and we also have Sparks and Clashes. Do you want to give a little bit of an explanation about this?
Yeah, so Campus Chronicles, we're going to talk about news, current events happening on campus, things that are important to the student body. And then for Culture Shock is going to be more of pop culture, entertainment, things that are happening online. And then Sparks and Clashes for me and all my fellow poli-sci nerds, about news, big events that are happening worldwide to get sort of vast different perspectives on those.
Yeah. So in addition to us, the hosts of the podcast, we'll generally have guests from clubs, the campus community, or experts on the field to help reinforce the things that we're talking about, give some validity to the topics that we're going to hope to address. Because as you mentioned, they're much more globally engaged, socially engaged, so we're still trying to provide good, reliable resources.
Yeah, and really just trying to value different perspectives, I think.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
going to be really important.
Yeah.
And so, to discuss sort of the origins of the podcast, we have our editor-in-chief here at the Phoenix to speak about the creation of the Phoenix Files.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna, and I'm the editor-in-chief at the Phoenix News this year.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. So, why start a podcast? What about this form of media was important to you to start something like this up at the Phoenix?
Yeah, so every year the new editor-in-chief launches a new project. Last year we launched our newsletter, and I found that podcasts are growing and they're doing really well. And it's something that I've been wanting to create for the past 3 years, ever since I started working here. And yeah, I just think it's a growing industry and that it would be great, and it would be a great addition to our newspaper as well.
Yeah, I agree. I consume all of my news through podcasts.
Yeah, same. I think that it's important to have it, especially in a world of transition from the analog into the digital. It just seems like a great way to engage with the people who are around us and how we live our lives. It just seems like a perfect way in which to slot information right into our daily lives. I personally love it. I consume my books, my news, my entertainment all through podcasts sort of format. So I'm very happy to be a part of the team.
I agree.
So yeah, thank you. I had a follow-up question. After your time here at school, which inevitably will come, what is your vision for this podcast? What are you hoping to leave behind for the campus community, the Phoenix Files?
So I'm hoping that next year's editor-in-chief can continue to grow the podcast. I hope that we can continue to tackle important issues, not just campus-related issues, but global issues that impact our students. And I hope that with the podcast, we can continue to grow our presence on campus.
Yeah, that seems so important. That's definitely what I wanted to be a part of the project. Just the campus engagement seems very significant at this point. So I'm very happy to be a part of the team.
Yeah, me too. I really think that we're building something important here that's hopefully going to last.
Yeah, I hope so.
So thank you so much for being here with us
thank
today.
you.
So lots of big changes happening here at the Phoenix and lots of big changes happening on campus.
Yeah, massive changes happening all over UBC, not just here at the Okanagan, but the very big and somewhat controversial move to Workday and the Workday platform. The very big elephant in the room. Workday, the Workday platform. Somewhat abrupt move from the SSC into Workday. Apparently, It's a long time coming, but how has this affected you, your schooling? You're in your last year. What are your thoughts, your experience with Workday right now?
Yeah, I think I speak for a lot of students when I say that I was really frustrated with it. I mean, going into my fourth year and being particularly inept at computers and anything to do with that, I had finally just figured out how the SSC works. So then having to be thrown into Workday, which just was a bit of a nightmare for me. I mean, you couldn't even look at your classes in separate semesters. It was ridiculous. There was a student at the Vancouver campus, I believe, that made a Chrome extension to sort of deal with that bug, but I don't think that bug has even been fixed to this day.
I don't think so. I was looking through our community page on Reddit, just gathering people's thoughts, how people feel about this, just going on like social media and seeing how people feel about this. It seems to be very stress-inducing. I'm going to play devil's advocate for right now because I worked on in school at UBCO throughout the summer. And so I had been exposed to Workday before. So I just had like the benefit of having experience with the interface. And because of that experience, I noticed that a lot of the things came easier to me. Like a lot of the processes I managed to do on my phone through the app.
On your phone?
Yes, I feel like that was a big...
I couldn't do it on a laptop. On your phone is nuts.
Exactly. So like I have to play devil's advocate. I think that the program was kind of in shambles. We were just attached to it. And it just kind of sucks that we were the generation that went through that sort of a clash. But I honestly have more of a problem with the resources allocated to Workday. When I was doing research on the switch to Workday and what are some of the implications about that, I was doing some research, and apparently it cost the university between $200 and $500 million, this switch. Obviously not at once.
Yeah.
And this involves all of the technician teams that were involved. This involves the platform itself. But I was just wondering if that was like a good use of resources. Like if those same resources were invested into an SSC platform to better improve kind of like its internal system. Mm-hmm. I just felt like a lot of resources and like that we didn't have enough input. Like there was no surveys launched or anything that I was aware of.
Yeah.
If you guys are wondering about specific resources about this, UBC actually released an official like letter dismantling myths about the switch to Workday, and they like shut down sort of any claims that it was because people were hacking, which was a big thing that was circulating online.
I did hear that conspiracy theory.
I know, big Workday conspiracy theory. So
not
like,
true.
It's not true. It's debunked.
Yeah.
But what is some of your experience like? Have you gone to advisors?
Yes. So it was just the summer of advising for me. I'm a political science major, and they're completely overhauling the degree, which meant that a bunch of my courses that I needed and prerequisites were changing. So I was back and forth with academic advising throughout the entire summer. And yeah, I remember being on the phone with an advisor, and she was like, "I'm so sorry, this is going to take me like 10 minutes. I can't even use Workday yet." And I'm like, how am I as a student supposed to feel comfortable and confident going into my last year of university where I'm like fingers crossed I'm going to get all the classes that I need and be enrolled in everything when my academic advisor doesn't even know where to put my classes so that I get the credits I need to graduate. It just felt like such an unnecessary stressor. And yeah,
I totally agree with that, because I also had problems kind of figuring out the classes that I would need. And when I was speaking with my academic advisor, who's in my faculty, he was also having huge difficulties in like allocating the credits that need to be allocated to, classes outside of your faculty, outside of your degree. And additionally, it was having problems recognizing and allocating the credits that were transfer credits. So my problem with Workday hasn't been Workday itself, but actually and we all love the academic advisors, but the
people using
Workday,
yeah.
It seems like the training wasn't there, mm-hmm. and a lot of stress is secondhand stress.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the people who are trained and like employed in these positions are having a lot of trouble getting Workday to, mm-hmm. Do its thing.
Yeah.
So I think I'm getting a lot of secondhand stress induced because they're like, oh, I don't know where Workday recognizes these credits. We don't know where to put them. You might be missing 17 classes. So it was like, God. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that transition could have been smoother in terms of giving the people who are required to work apt training for it.
Yeah.
So that we don't have to stress for them.
Yeah, I'm sure academic advising was even more stressed out about the entire switch than any student on campus was.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of the student bodies, like, I don't want to say mad, but I guess irritated by the fact that it looked simple to us, but on the back end, so like a lot of accounting, a lot of like admin people also switched to Workday, which was one of the like biggest downfalls of Workday. So I just wanted to like, mention that because it's like a much more complex sort of like transition.
Yeah,
that, like,
it's not just about enrolling in classes.
It's not just about enrolling in classes, and like things get really complex and very nebulous. So for all the people that were like stressing with classes, we empathize, but it does seem like a very complex issue to wrap around and etc. Yeah. So yeah, like that seemed like a very significant change for like the campus community, not just here in the Okanagan, but just UBC in general. What else is new? What else has changed?
Well, they're calling Frosh Takeoff now.
I know, I saw that.
I feel really old. Like I'm already a fourth year walking around this campus full of first years, and now they're talking about Takeoff. I'm like, what is happening?
How do you feel about it?
So, to be completely honest, I only went to Frosh, and I'm going to keep calling it Frosh because I'm old. I only went to it once in my second year because they didn't have one in my first year because COVID. And I mean, it was fun. It was a little pump.
Yeah.
I think a bunch of my friends were going, so I decided to go, and it was fun. It makes me wonder. I don't know how valuable really is this. I heard of some people going this year. Another fourth year friend. Who said that the crowd etiquette was really bad of people like
I heard that
crushing
too.
and I'm really glad I didn't go because that would have completely freaked me out.
Yeah, that's totally like not my scene either, which had me questioning also the value of this event. I'm also going to keep calling it Frosh. I also question the value of Frosh and the efforts that are put into Frosh, and if this is really like a community building event that we have. It's no secret that it takes a lot of money and a lot of planning and a lot of resources to get something like Frosh going. So I was just wondering, like, what is your position on the thousands of dollars that get poured into Frosh and its impact on the community? Is that like a nice inclusive way of like providing, campus life, etc. Or
yeah, I mean, I would love to know how much it costs, but
show us the receipts.
I don't.
Please show us the receipts.
But I don't know. I just think that it could be such a big opportunity to incorporate like students and groups on campus. Like we have a rock and roll club. Why is the rock and roll club not opening for the main act? And there's dance clubs. Like there's all these different creatives on campus that could be not only just enjoying participating in this, but benefiting and gaining traction and gaining people. And when you pay your $35 ticket, maybe some of that money can go back to these clubs on campus that would probably love the opportunity to clear out H-Lot and perform for people. I
absolutely agree. It seems like a perfect platform for the SUO to elevate the campus life and clubs already. Like the clubs are formed of 100% students. They're run by students, they're supported by students, they're utilized by students. So it seems like a perfect way in which to elevate and open a door for growth in these clubs. There's nothing better for performing rock and roll than performing rock and roll
exactly
in front of a crowd with ears that enjoy music. So it just seems like a great way to promote people's abilities or disabilities. It just seems like not like a wasted opportunity.
I would say it's a wasted opportunity. It feels
Those are your words.
It's a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, I would err on agreeing with you because it is. I'm sure that these people are coming for like a very, very heavy fee, and it seems like it's trying to be something that we're not. Like UBC Okanagan has never had that reputation. We're not really. People don't come here for that really. We don't even have a venue, right? So we're clearing out parking lots. Which you can see from the top. If you live in the Nechako building and you just go right outside.
You just watch Frosh for free.
Watch Frosh for free. Which is what a lot of people were doing.
Yeah.
So it just seems like a little bit of a forced campus life thing. So that people feel like there's things happening, but you know, there's so many avenues, like you express, of like incorporating clubs, of incorporating local artists. One of my favorite days on campus is when all the clubs are in the courtyard.
Yeah, and it's packed.
It's
like
packed.
Expo was packed. You couldn't move. I was trying to get from the UNC to arts, and I could barely move.
No, you can't move.
Like, it's so obvious that students value these types of events, so I don't know, I find it really upsetting that a big event like Frosh just kind of wastes the opportunity to really build that community.
Yeah, and speaking of that, like, one of the most connected that I felt with campus was when we were given the opportunity, or like afforded the $5 smart meals. Dude, that was so like amazing that they did that.
Yeah.
I thought that was like the best way to support your student body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they've come with new alternative
Smart Meal 2.0.
Smart Meal 2.0
is what it's called.
Yeah, is that what it's actually called?
I'm pretty sure that's what it says on their Instagram, is Smart Meals 2.0.
Okay, so did you often go to the Smart Meals? What's your socioeconomic status?
I don't know if we need to get into that, but I mean, I'm a university student, and food is ridiculously expensive.
Yep.
So I definitely really valued the fact that it seemed like the SUO cared and was trying to make something little like that, like buying lunch on campus.
Yeah.
It's not something that you're worrying about.
It was massive for me. I know, like, I'm an international student. A lot of my friends were not reliant on this, but it really facilitated their day-to-day life. The fact that they could twice a week come to campus and not worry about food. The state of food security and its effects on people, like, not only health, but mental health, their sleep, is drastic. So I think that the SEO taking charge of that and doing that little thing, which I actually think was massive, was the best way to showing that you're trying to build a community, that you're trying to keep people healthy, that you're trying to keep people active. And the switch to the 2.0, I'm not seeing that same level of commitment.
No.
It seemed like a big step last year. It seemed like it took a lot from them.
Yeah.
What do you think about this new plan?
So
outline it for us, please.
So yeah, you can go on their Instagram and see the actual dates and everything, but there's specific dates. I think it's up to like the end of October right now, where you can go and get a free breakfast at Picnic in the UNC from like, I think it's 8:30 in the morning to 10:30 in the morning on certain days, and then there's two days in the next month and a half or so where you can get your $5 smart meal from certain vendors in the UNC, which is good.
Yeah,
like,
very
obviously
good.
I'm not going to complain about free food.
No.
But it does feel like a scaling back for some reason. And I
agree with that.
Yeah, like, and who's going to be benefiting most from cheaper or free meals on campus is, I would say, the people who are commuting to campus who probably don't have a meal plan. If you're not living on campus, you're either bringing your lunch, or if you're like me, you're always forgetting your lunch at home and then having to buy food on campus. And people who commute aren't going to want to be here at 8 a.m. They're not booking those early morning classes, and so they're not going to be the ones to utilize this resource in the morning. Like,
no, I totally agree. And there's this idea that you give somebody something and then they feel entitled to it, right? So I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that person when it comes to the smart meals. But I genuinely feel like it was a big boost to my day-to-day life. I mean, I could make food 3 days a week, and then these 2 days a week were like a break. I'm sure that a lot of the campus community felt that way. I went with a lot of my class. Like, I never went alone to get a smart meal. You know what I mean? Like, that was never something it's just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go alone and get a. No, dude, you went with all of your homies. Everybody's there. Everybody's getting the one.
Smart meals.
Yeah, everybody's getting the smart meals.
It was like an event.
It was, and it felt, the UNC was bustling.
Yeah,
I
remember my first year, the first like smart meals day or maybe it was my second year, I can't remember, but when they rolled it out, and it was like there was a line out the door for the sushi place in UNC, like it was crazy.
Yeah, that feels like campus community.
Yes, yeah.
That felt like I was part of something. Like, oh damn, they're helping me live a better life, and I'm proving to them that this is improving my life. It felt like a very like symbiotic relationship. Like, we need each other. Yeah. We need each other for this. So if anybody at the SU is listening to this,
Please,
smart
please
meals.
More smart meals.
The smart
We
meals
love the
were
smart
really
meals.
they were really, really significant to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, so we were just wondering about your guys' opinion on what the SUO or other student organizations can do around campus just to activate campus life, etc. We also want to know your opinions on the mass investment in Frosh and events like Frosh, and if that actually, is good in growing the community or restart. Hold up.
Okay.
I thought in other words.
I thought in
Okay.
other words.
Ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
All right.
1, 2, 3, go.
So yeah, we were just wondering about your opinions and your insight into what the SEO and other student organizations can do to enhance campus life. What are your opinions on events like Frosh? Is that a good use of our resources? And we also just want to hear your opinions on the upcoming episodes of the Phoenix Files, what you would like to hear from the podcast and what you're interested in learning in.
And coming up, we've got a really exciting episode. We're going to be talking about the ethics of true crime, which I, for one, I'm really excited to dig into. So to keep updated and look at our episodes, you can find us at thephoenixnews.com, as well as UBCO Phoenix for our Instagram and TikTok, as well as our print issues, which will be strewn about campus very, very soon.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
Bye.
Okay, good job.